Since working with Ali, I've been surrounded by lots of rich people, and it's like a whole different world that rich people live in. This is peak vulnerability.
Good, man. Good to see you.
This is our friend Saf, a talented tech creator who's now become the creative mind behind Ali Abdaal's channel.
The whole operation nowhere near as slick as it might look.
He started as a video editor for Ali's 5 million subs channel, but quickly carved out an entirely new role for himself.
I pitched an idea to Ali, and he was like, how do you feel about going 50-50? And I was like, whoa.
Today, he reveals the realities of working in the creator economy, how to stand out in the space, as well as the lessons and secrets he learned from working with Ali Abdaal.
Oh my God, I'm in this inner circle. I better keep my mouth shut.
Welcome to Creator Confessions, comfortably uncomfortable conversations with creators on a couch.
Hey.
How are you feeling, sir? Are you comfortable, uncomfortable?
I'm comfortable, yeah. I'm feeling good.
Well, let's see about that. Saf will be answering 3 questions, one from each jar of increasing degrees of vulnerability. If Saf chooses not to answer, there will be a very severe punishment. You have to FaceTime Ali Abdaal and pitch him on a new business venture for a productivity couch.
I might do that anyway, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, I'm in.
Well, I would say we are good to go with level 1.
Okay, level 1. Okay, the question is, how has working with Ali Abdaal changed you as a person? So I joined Ali Abdaal's team. So I started at the beginning of the year, and I joined as a video editor. Before I joined, I'd never worked with any content creator before. Everything I'd done was completely freelance. So there was like a huge amount of like imposter syndrome going into it from the get-go. But in that time since I've joined, I have already changed roles in that time. So professionally I've changed. But I've also noticed that personally, I have also changed. Ali he's a visionary and he has loads of ideas, but he's also like so ruthless when it comes to executing and to doing stuff. And he's just like, we can do things just like that. I had an idea. We went to Portugal this one time, right? And I had an idea. I wanted to release a video editing course. I wanted to release a course of some sort, some description. And I pitched an idea to Ali, and he was like, this sounds like a sick idea. We should definitely do it. How do you feel about going 50-50? And I was like, whoa. I never actually thought that far ahead, but that sounds really good. We can use Ali's distribution on like Twitter and Instagram to like get the word of mouth out. And then I would put the work in to actually get the course done, get it off the ground, create the trailer, that kind of stuff. So I said to him, like, this was over a dinner conversation. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And when are you gonna have the trailer done for it? I was like, well, have you got some time next week? And we can like have a chat about it. I'll book 30 minutes in your Calendly or something. We'll sit down, we'll flesh it out. I was like, okay, or we can do it now. I was like, Ali, I'm putting my jacket on, I've just paid for a bill, there's 13 people here about to get an Uber back to the Airbnb. I was like, okay, he clearly doesn't want to do it next week. So I was like to him, okay, cool, so if you've got some time this week, maybe on the trip, we'll spend half an hour on the trip. And he was like, well, we can do it now. I was like, whoa, the guy really wants to do it now. So I was like, fine, let's just do it now. So put the jacket on, went outside, Ali called the Uber, and then the Uber pulls up. I get in, Ali gets in, and then Tommy gets in, who's our head of sales and product. And he looks at the ETA on the Uber and he's like, right, we've got 23 minutes till we get home. Let's get started. Let's do the plan right here, right now. And then we just started brainstorming ideas in the car. It was the most incredible experience. We were just brainstorming all these ideas, and we got to the end of this journey and I came out. And as Ali gets out the car, I was like, great, so you'll have this video trailer done by next week. I was like, yeah, I think I'll have it done by next week. The velocity at which this guy operates is way faster than anyone I've ever met. And that's been super inspiring. So I've tried to like have that bias to action in my own life.
What is the next area of improvement?
Has your imposter syndrome developed over the 6 months that you've worked for Ali?
Someone on the team reached out to me to be like, hey, I know you haven't joined formally like just yet, but we're all gonna go to a creator event. It was an event by Hassan Kuba, and he just hosted some creator friends to come and meet it. I was like, yeah, of course, this sounds sick. I'd love to come. Went there after work one day, and it was this packed out hall full of YouTubers, TikTokers, loads of people. A lot of people I didn't know, but I got to know, like, oh my God, wow, you're absolutely huge. You've been doing this stuff for like a really long time. It was like a networking setup where afterwards people would mingle and just like talk to other people. At this point, I hadn't joined the team yet full time. So I was there introducing myself like, hey, yeah, my name is Saf. I'm a tech YouTuber. I make videos on like the Apple Watch and things like that. Also like working at a startup. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm also Ali Abdaal's video editor. And that's the thing, it would come right at the end. And that was like kind of the imposter syndrome at that point, because I hadn't even joined on the team yet. But most people were just like completely switched off, like, oh yeah, cool, he's a tech YouTuber. That sounds not like everyone else, like I know, like everyone that is doing content of some description. I started changing my pitch, like, oh yeah, hi, I'm Ali Abdaal's video editor. I also have a YouTube channel. I'm like, you're Ali Abdaal's what? Like, sick. So by the way, I was hoping to get on Ali Abdaal's podcast. It's always something that comes up. I'm like, oh, right. But it was really interesting that I had to go through a shift of taking on this identity of like, I now work in the content creation space. I now work with Ali and Ali's team. I'm now the full-time video person that does all of the YouTube stuff, all of the stuff that goes to like 4 million subscribers. There was so much imposter syndrome around that to begin with, and that was really tricky. Essentially faked it till I made it. Imposter syndrome has come in various ways throughout my life, and I have dealt with it and it's ebbed and flowed. It's been an interesting journey because I've left the traditional default path of graduating uni, getting a safe finance consulting, or in my case, startup job, spending 3-4 years doing that, whatever it is, and then pivoting to something else along that path. I've just completely broken away from it. And I remember my dad, like when I tried to explain this to him, he's a very traditional Pakistani dad. And he was like, so son, you're going to do what? I was like, I'm going to be a video editor for Ali. I had to gas it up. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be like creative director, head of content for Ali Abdaal. And he's like, who's Ali Abdaal? No, I'm kidding. He's not that fresh. But he went to work and he was telling me the stories. Like he was sat in an office. He works for a charity, and he was explaining to his friends, like, oh yeah, my son's he's now going into video editing for this guy. His name's Ali Abdaal. And then someone across the room goes, for who? Ali Abdaal? No way. And then my dad was like, oh. Yeah, that's my son. Yeah, you think of Ali Abdaal? And it was like an immediate shift because in his world, he has absolutely no idea who Ali Abdaal is or what the YouTube scene or the content creation space is like at all. And that's completely new and alien to him. You know, initially it was kind of like video editor doesn't have that much prestige. Where are you going with this? Like, what's the vibe over here? And then it has slowly shifted and he slowly bought in and slowly understood it. There was imposter syndrome in lots of different ways, not just with the family, but also professionally, as I've like described. But I feel way more comfortable now. There are moments where it's kind of like, you know, what the hell are you doing? Like, financially, this isn't as certain as it would be on a default path. The day-to-day activities I'm doing are constantly changing. The roles are changing. I told you that maybe Ali's gonna go traveling next year. So that means like, do I stay in London? Do I travel with him? What does that mean for my personal life? So there's all of that is constantly in flux. And the way I've learned to deal with it is to be comfortable with the uncertainty.
The other question that I had is also going back to what you were initially saying, that your job role within, you know, the company has changed a lot in the last 6 months, but you didn't touch on what has that changed. So you came in as the main video editor.
Yeah.
And then what happened and how did things change?
So I'm very happy to continue video editing, but at some point down the line, I had a conversation with Ali where I said to him, like, if you want a video editor, in theory, you could find a video editor in India, Pakistan, or the Philippines for half the price and they'll edit videos. But you've got me, and I'm here in person, I'm double the price, and I've got a whole bunch of skills that we're not utilizing. So he was like, oh yeah, this is a really good point. And I explained to him, like, there'll be a far higher ROI if I could do something which was like owning the video edits and being like overseeing the creativity and helping us scale output in a way that a video editor can't do. So we ended up pivoting from a video editor role into a video producer role, where I manage the freelancers to make sure that they're all consistently hitting the kind of standard we want. They're all hitting the deadlines, that we have a repurposing engine, which is something we didn't have before. And overall, someone is responsible for serving every vertical of the business, whether it's the social media platforms or the podcast or the YouTube channel. So it's a very different role to one I started out with. It's been very interesting to see how that's developed over time.
You said, you know, one thing you didn't expect is how much work goes into working with Ali. Have you burnt out at all since working there?
I burn out all the time.
What does that mean? What does a burnout look like to you?
Yeah, this is a good thing to define. The burnout to me is like, I need the weekend to do nothing. Some weekends I have this time and space to like work on my own projects and spend time with friends and family, just be active. Some weekends where I'm completely burnt out, it's like, yeah, nothing is planned, I'm just gonna relax. Like even going to the gym is a bit of a task. It's like, I don't wanna be productive by going to the gym today. I'm just gonna stay at home and do absolutely nothing. And that usually happens when I overschedule my calendar and I'm just doing stuff after work every single day, and also not getting enough sleep. And also because I'm in person real life, I go into the studio quite often. These things are energizing. Like on the face of it, it's like, yeah, of course we can do dinner. Like, yeah, of course I can come into the office. Yeah, of course I can do that extra thing. But then I forget that saying yes to all of these things means saying no to time with loved ones and saying no to having a good night's sleep. I've recently gone down a rabbit hole watching Casey Neistat stuff, and he articulates this idea that I really resonated with, and he has like a slider that goes from left to right. And he's like, either I'm like really bored and uninspired and doing absolutely nothing, and then in which case I just go into work mode, and then it's like full on, non-stop. I give him my everything, super energized. And by the end of that, he's kind of like burnt out, and then he just goes to the other side of the spectrum, which is like bored, uninspired, motivated. And he's just like, I can't find the balance. I am the exact same way. I just cannot find the balance. You keep me in a balance, at the perfect place, like Saf, just stay over here, everything will be good. Plain sailing, just do it for the rest of the year. And it's like, can I push it by 5%? What about 10? There's way more capacity, 15, 20, 25. And we go all the way up to the top. And it's like, oh, no, you need to take it back, and then go backwards to force in between it. And I don't know, I feel pretty happy that way in some ways. Like it kind of works for me.
So how do you feel after level 1? We broke your podcast virginity.
Yeah, I feel like we deviated so far from the question. It's so reflective. Yeah,
Alright, we'll make it work in post. All right, level 2.
Level 2, let's go. All right. Let's take... Ooh, what's the worst part of working in the creator economy? The worst part is you have to become comfortable with the uncertainty of working in the creator economy, where nothing is constant, things are changing all the time, and YouTube doesn't work 9 to 5. YouTube is 24/7. You're getting views in your sleep, on the weekends, stuff's happening, things are developing. You want to A/B test your stuff, for instance, and it's like, set it up on a Friday so it runs over the weekend and we can take the break on the weekend. There is this constant tension between like being switched on and switched off. I feel like that is what separates those who can actually like thrive in the creator economy from those like, yeah, I like the idea of this, but the reality of working in the creator economy is probably just not for me. And maybe I can have a different relationship with the creator economy rather than the one I initially thought I would have.
So for any person who does want to work in a team with a bigger creator, do you feel like there's any reality where you could feel really stable in it?
Working on this team is really unique because we have 13 full-time hires, and most of the content creators that are Ali's size won't have a team that big. It'll be half as big, if that. And I connected with Ryan Holiday's video editor / producer. His name's Dawson, and he was talking about how he doesn't have a clearly defined role. It's because of it's such a lean team, and Ryan is trying to do so many different things that Dawson's got his fingers in so many different pies. And this is a really common thing that I see. A lot of my colleagues and friends, they reflect on like, it can be really difficult to be in that space without knowing some clear progression. Like, is what I'm doing bringing value? Am I bringing something to the table? Am I doing a good job? And it's really hard to answer those questions when you have an unstable job. The best way to cope with it, I've found, is just to be comfortable with the uncertainty and to really believe that you're actually adding something to the table and you have something to give. The job I have now is the perfect fit for me. And I know that out of my friends, not all of them would enjoy doing what I do. They don't resonate with the mission or the business side so much. They're a little bit more laid back and they prefer the stability and like the 9 to 5 and spending their time doing other things. But the business stuff really excites me. So does the YouTube stuff. And it's just this perfect storm where I don't mind doing it all the time because there are so many plus sides to this job. The one downside is that I don't know when to stop.
It's if you're looking for a 9 to 5 stable kind of thing, don't go looking into the working for another creator.
In our experience, it's the same with all our clients. It's like, you never know. You might get a message on a weekend at any time asking for something that's very last minute. But I'm the same as you, of like very business focused, and it's hard for me to shut off. So like I'm available almost at any time, and I see that that's very much appreciated. Like you said, more opportunities come when people know like, oh, this guy's serious. Like he's not just here to, you know, come in, punch the like clock in and clock out. He's serious about it. Another question, because you said, all right, you come into the job and you hinted that it wasn't actually what you were expecting in some ways. Like the ideas of working for Ali Abdaal was not exactly the idea you had in your mind. What were you expecting that was different when you actually started the job?
Yeah, before I joined the team, I had a very parasocial relationship with Ali Abdaal and even Ali Abdaal's team. But I'd also just been consuming the content, like the Not Overthinking podcast, which is a very casual podcast that Ali and his brother run. So in some ways, I had built up an idea of what it was like, what these people were like, and what their interests were, likes, dislikes, what they're working on. And then when I join, it's completely different because it's no longer the filtered version that goes through like editing and stuff. It's just them and the raw version of them. It felt really nice because like it's just so much more intimate. It's like I actually get to see this in real life, and we get to talk about some of these topics that you can't talk about on camera. That's been very exciting and very fun, very positive. So that's kind of where I was coming from, in that like the expectations were different, in that there was a very parasocial relationship. And then when you start working with them, it's like, this is the real them and this is what they go through. If I was thinking of like the negative surprises, it would be, there's a very much like an aura of like, this is all a lot of fun and we're just building a business and having fun along the way, which is very much true. That's what the business does, like as a principle that it lives by. But I just didn't realize how much work goes on behind the scenes. And the content, you'd expect there to be a really long pipeline of content for the next 3 months built out for a channel of Ali's size. But ever since I've joined, we've been like uploading to the day. And it's like I've been uploading in the morning and some days, and we've been modifying things. We've got to make sure the sponsors are happy. We go backwards and forwards and we edit and we render and we go back up, add a thumbnail in, a title, description. Okay, fine, you could get the affiliates and all of this kind of stuff. Okay, it's ready to go. Happy days. Now get it on social media. It's like the whole operation was like nowhere near as slick as it might look from the outside looking in. On the inside, we're constantly tinkering, experimenting, learning. Processes are far from perfect. We depend and rely on sponsors and other third parties and stuff. You know, Ali's set up a system where he's delegated a lot of his stuff to other people. And often it's the other people behind the scenes that are working on the thing rather than Ali himself. And he's like, oh my God, so this idea that Ali made for this video didn't even come from him. It came from Tintin, who's a YouTube producer, and then it's done like numbers, it's done really well, and he's the one that built up the hook and the script. So there is definitely this like shared responsibility amongst the team. Ali still very much is in charge of the videos and he signs off on them, and the process has to go through him, otherwise it's not an Ali Abdaal video. It's just really interesting to see that there was no secret sauce.
If you could pick like 3 key things to look out for someone who's considering working with a creator or working in the creator economy, that if they feel like they don't align with that, they should just reconsider.
Okay, so the first one was like being switched on, and like content's always switched on all the time. The second one is being comfortable with the uncertainty. Taking a route down the content creator path is very much like a pathless path of sorts. And a lot of the people I work with try to define what they do with job titles. And you know, it never perfectly sums up what they do. Even the job title I have now doesn't sum up what I do. Neither did the one before, and all the people I speak to as well. And so it becomes really hard to explain what you do to other people. And so you really try hard to like fit into a box, but you never quite fit into that box. And that can bring some discomfort as well, naturally. And it's something which you grow to, you become acclimatized to it. And third things to look out for, there's a conflation between the work you do to support a big creator and the work you can do to support yourself on your own content creation journey. If that's something you want to do, which a lot of the people I speak to do. Like they're in a space because they wanted to be content creators once upon a time. And if you're spending your best energy and your creative energy helping someone else on their mission, and it's great if your values align, you just have to be conscious about, okay, fine, what's the trade-off over here? Is there residual stuff I can apply to my own thing? Am I happy with that? Would I rather be giving my everything to my content? I think the flip side to this worst part is there are so many benefits to working for a content creator, in opportunities, in networking, in vibes. If that's the right word for it. Like, I've never had a job quite like the one I have right now, where I can call my colleagues friends, where I can rock up to work when I want. I get to choose my own hours, get to wear what I want. We fly to different countries almost all the time since I'm joined for various reasons.
What are the things that you did that helped you stand out, that you think, you know, you would advise another aspiring creator to do if they're reaching out to a bigger creator?
I think the first one was, you go through a mental and emotional process about applying for a job like this. Initially, when I applied the job, I said, I just shot my shot. I was like, yeah, it's whatever. I'm used to this. I go on LinkedIn, I easy apply, write a cover letter. I'm very used to applying for stuff because of it's a numbers game. But then if they're interested and they hear back and say, hey, we want you to do like the next round, then you go through the process like, oh my God, you said yes? Now I actually have to consider what would it be like to do this and to join this company. And that's when the mental process started for me. And I had to really reflect on what that would look like, if it aligns with my values and what I want for myself and for my life. And this is like completely different to anything I've ever tried before. So I don't think you can quite prepare for that until you're in the position where you're ready to go. Another thing was that when I applied for the job, what was unique was that you didn't need a portfolio to apply. You just had to complete a trial task, and they would judge your application based off of that, and a cover letter. Fantastic, because I have no portfolio. I was like, yes, this ticks the right boxes. I can shine. That was very unique in my case, but I think you could apply that to other content creators in that. So now that I'm involved in the hiring of video editors, I often see their portfolios and they're never aligned to what we're trying to do. Almost never. It's like music videos or gaming videos, completely different niche on YouTube. And it's really hard to ascertain, is this stuff transferable? What are their skills like? Are they going to be on brand? Are they going to understand the aesthetic? So to be able to edit something for a creator where you reach out and say, hey, can you just give me some footage? I'm just going to edit it. Like, I'll do the first 60 seconds and you can make a decision based off of that. That's a pretty good approach. You probably won't always get the response you want from it. There is definitely something to be said for like going over and beyond to demonstrate this is what you're going to bring to the table to that brand.
Would you even take it a step further of even not even asking the creator, hey, can you send me some footage, but just finding the footage online and editing something using that footage, and then, like you're saying, putting it on a silver platter and saying, hey, I just made this from scratch.
Well, 100%. If you could take a YouTube video and make 3 shorts out of it and be like, I made this from a finished video and now this can go on your platforms. Test it out. It's yours. It's free, whatever. Like, see how it does. You're flexing your skills as an editor because you're just taking something that's raw and then creating the assets from scratch. You've already looked through their old stuff to see what they do, how they do it, and applied it.
Have you noticed any gaps out there for certain styles where people who are getting into video editing, if they had to pick one, like if the gaming niche is oversaturated, like pick a different one and you'll probably have more job opportunities out there?
Shorts video editing is a huge one. And there is a new style of shorts video editing, which is this like paper cutout, jittery stop motion effect, which I think Ali pioneered very much. And I've seen other creators come out with a very similar style now. Short form is something every creator under the sun wants to get into. And if you can like position yourself as a short form video editor, you do all of the motion graphics, because it's more motion graphics than it's video editing, I find. And even if it's templates and plug and play, it doesn't matter. It's like you are the guy that does it and this is what the finished product looks like. I know people that are other creators working with P2IA, but also through our network, that pay thousands and thousands of dollars per month to short form video editors to be able to create this stuff, because they recognize the value of the brand awareness that they get. And if they can funnel that traffic into their courses, then that $3,000 a month, whatever they pay, is a no-brainer for them. There was one other thing as well, which I did, which helped me get this job, which no one else did at the time, and that was they asked for a cover letter as part of the application. And I thought to myself, I could write a cover letter, like why I'm motivated, why I want to do this, or I could create a website. And so I decided to create a website and use images and videos of my own content creation journey, how that relates to the mission. I used emojis, why I'm a perfect fit, what my commute is like to get into the office, and why it's a no-brainer to hire me. And it was just this beautiful website, and you sort of like scroll down and it's got all of my details there. And it was so much more interactive than the cover letter. And that didn't really take me any more effort. And it was more fun because I just enjoyed making the websites. And I know 350 people applied for the video editing job, and I was the only one out of the 350 that got it.
It's so good to go above and beyond, but there's also doing too much where it becomes like, almost annoying. I see a lot of, like with Nas Daily sometimes posts, he's posted a story of like a guy saying like day 100 until Nas Daily replies to me. Day 2, day 3. It's like they're adding no value and it's just becoming really annoying.
Yeah.
It's like it's not enough to be seen now. You really need to offer something, because these guys are busy. They've got numerous amounts of people lining up to offer something, and if you're just there to be seen but not offering anything, why would he take out even 15 minutes of his seems like very packed schedule to just smile?
But amazing. I would say we move on to the third.
Question 3.
Question 3.
Level 3.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. All right. So this is peak vulnerability in terms of questions, yeah? Do you ever feel frustrated about building somebody else's vision? It would be more frustrating to build someone else's vision if that vision didn't align with your own vision for how you see the world or how you want to leave an impact on the world. Working on Ali with his vision aligns so closely and so deeply with my own that it never really feels that frustrating. But the times where it does feel frustrating is where I'm video editing 5 days a week, like long shifts, 12-hour days, and all of my creative energy is being spent on this. And then I have nothing left for my own vision or my own channel or my own side hustles of sorts. And I'm always doing like a million things at one time, which is also a problem. I think there's definitely value in just focusing and sticking with one thing. I have found that there are times where it can be hard to give the time and creativity to your own stuff when you're giving it to someone else's stuff. And the antidote to that, I find, is just setting really clear boundaries. Something I heard from Brandon Burchard last week was like, all you need is to set half an hour each day to dedicate to doing the one thing. And when I first heard that, I was like, oh, come on, dude. It's like, we're going to cut out all the lunches, all the dinners, all the sleep, all the downtimes. Like, yeah, half an hour. It's just like, of course, that's all you need. Like, everyone just, it's so simple. It's just there in front of you. And it sounds sort of like very rich for someone else to say that. But then the more I reflected on it, the more I realized actually you can carve out half an hour. You just need to figure out when are you most alive in the day. How can you schedule that in the calendar? How can you have work around that? And then move the needle on what you really want to do.
Has your vision of your own channel shifted since starting to work with Ali?
In terms of the vision for the future, I'm still just trying things out, finding what resonates, what I think I'm going to stick to and stay consistent with. But I went on a creator retreat a few weeks ago, and like I brought this question forward to the group. I was like, tech reviews are fun and they're good, but like I feel like this was more of a thing 10 years ago, like the whole unboxings and reviews and stuff. It's a pretty saturated niche, lots of people in it. I do still love tech, I love to do it, but maybe I have unfair advantages in other places. And like Ali and a bunch of other people were like, dude, wake up, your unfair advantage is being the video editor for Ali Abdaal, so you should like double down on that, and maybe you could become the next Hayden Hillier-Smith, but for educational talking head YouTube videos. I was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. I'm experimenting, we'll see.
I remember you telling me like, I just wanted to become a YouTuber and create my own stuff. But now, I think this is what you said, I'm leaning much more in the direction of working for a big creator. What is more desirable to you right now? Is it still building your own channel? Is that still like a big dream of yours? Or are you going more in the direction of, if I partner up with a creator that has a similar vision to me, I can still fulfill that side of my dream, but maybe do it at an even bigger level in some sense. So I'm curious where you fall now in like creating for yourself versus creating for a bigger creator.
Creating for myself is a really interesting thing because it's meeting some kind of need beneath that, which I still can't really very clearly define what that need is. I'm increasingly finding I can meet those needs in other ways that don't mean I have to like be the full-time content creator and doing the whole like blowing up on YouTube thing. So I have increasingly found that I can be creative in a role working for another creator. Since working with Ali, I've been surrounded by lots of rich people, and it's like a whole different world that rich people live in. Like the kinds of things that they do and the kinds of things that they talk about, completely different to what me and my friends will talk about. And so it's really interesting when my friends hear me like normalize the kind of conversations which I've just heard like in the room. We're like, oh, Saf, you've gentrified now. You always get your Gale's coffee in the morning. Always getting the takeaways. I'm like, yeah, I get the takeaways because time is money. Like, get it delivered. I'm working on the laptop. But these are the kind of things which I've like absorbed through osmosis. So I kind of need to like take a step back a little bit sometimes.
What are the things though? I'm curious to quickly go in that tangent. Like, what are the things that you have absorbed from being around, you know, those types of people?
One thing that surprised me because I confirmed it through experience was that they're just human beings, and they're just normal people. They do the same things that you and I do. Some of them decoding the success after it happened, like, oh yeah, because people ask them like, what did you do? It's like, this is what I did, X, Y, Z, ABC. But they were never thinking of X, Y, Z, ABC as they were going through the process. They have like an uncanny ability to generate and execute business ideas, especially the execution part. Everyone can have the idea, but the people I speak to are like, okay, great, this is how I'm going to do it. These are the people that are going to help me do it. And I'm just going to start and I'm going to do it. Like, I can do it tomorrow. When I was on the Austin trip, we were sitting having lunch, and a guy behind me who I just looked at and just dismissed as one of the attendees there for like, he's just a guy. He sort of stood up to ask a question and was explaining his story of how he's quit his full-time job. And he's like, I decided to take the plunge, and unfortunately it didn't work out. And after 30 days, I just wasn't able to like make money. 1 year later, I'm proud to say my business does £300,000 in MRR. Every month we generate 300K. I looked at the guy like, what the hell? Your business does 300K a month? And it's like dog training or some really small, narrow niche like that. On one hand, it sort of reaffirms me like, yeah, you're just a normal human being. But on the other hand, just having conversations with people like him made you realize that it's, they come up with the ideas and they execute the ideas and they make money feel like numbers on a spreadsheet rather than like actual numbers.
Like the takeaways is they're just regular people who have a really great ability to execute on the ideas that they have, and their view of money is different to the view of money of more of it's a means to an end to help them support the vision that they have.
Thank you for articulating it like that, because I didn't articulate it very well, but you summed it up like perfectly. And on the last point, coming from an immigrant family background, anything you spent money on was seen as a cost. And I was like, if it's a cost, how can we reduce the cost? Why are we spending it? Can we cut it out at all? And it forced me into thinking that every month I need to save as much as I can from like my salary, and slowly I build money over time. Whereas surrounding myself with rich people, I realized that what you spend your money on isn't a cost, it's an investment. And when you shift from a cost mindset to an investment mindset, you stop seeing employees as a cost. You see them as an investment. How can they return a higher ROI for you and for them? How can it be a mutually beneficial relationship? And then you apply that logic to so many other areas. And my mind has like unlocked with the possibilities that you have through money.
If you were to advise an aspiring creator that's starting off, that's still small, let's say at like our size, thousands of followers, do you think it's more beneficial for someone to just learn from their own channel, or say, let me try to first go to a big creator, work with them, and then eventually go back to my channel?
I would say just learn from your own channel. It's interesting because I had a lot of knowledge before working with Ali and the team. I also recognize that the fastest way to get better at doing the thing is just by doing the thing, rather than pretending and kidding yourself that you're doing the thing in other ways. And I can totally see how you fall into the trap of working for another creator, thinking, oh, I'm leveling up and I'm acquiring the skills and doing this and all of that. And then you sit in front of the camera and you're shaking. It's like, fuck, I can't say the words, they're not coming out. It's not as natural as I'd like it. I've got to do 3 or 4 takes. Like editing, oh my God, we used to outsource the editing and now I have to do the editing myself. I can't afford to hire an editor. I think there is a lot that you can learn from working with other creators, but I also think that there is no replacement for the first-hand experience of just doing the thing yourself and getting the first 50 crappy videos out before you make videos that actually do well.
Before working with all these big creators, I had a very different idea of what it looked like to be so big creating content. You know, for me, it was this shiny thing of, wow, you make so much money, you have like this huge audience that you're impacting, life is good. And then like once we started to work with these guys, you realize it's not as shiny as it looks in a lot of ways. There's a lot of pressures that come with it. Has that been your experience at all?
Have you read the article by Tim Ferriss called 11 Reasons Not to Become Famous? It's the idea that once you've like opened the Pandora's box, there's no way you can go back. And there are experiences with bigger creators where like fans will like turn up at the house, or they feel like they should have a relationship, like death threats and emails like that can like, and they do come through. I don't think it's happened for Ali per se, but one thing that has happened for him that I've observed was when he got into his relationship, he had to make a decision on whether the relationship would be public or private. In my relationship, is that something which I've talked about? Is this something which, are they gonna be comfortable with it? In the back of my mind, I was thinking like, yeah, the answer is no. I know what the answer is gonna be. It's like, oh, can I change it? Well, obviously I can't, but it does definitely depend on the person. For someone like Ali, there are more positives than there are negatives, and for someone like him, it's fantastic. I don't know for someone like me whether that is the case or not.
Have you seen any of, or identified any of those things that you see and are like, ooh, that's not for me?
I think I see a lot of like tension between trying to make content because you want to make content and making content to appease sponsors. And when you have a channel which is monetized through sponsors and that's the way you make money, and let's say you're all in on content, you don't even have any commercial income coming in, then you get on a flywheel where you're just trying to appease the sponsors. Sure, it's not the only way to monetize, but there's definitely something which I saw and I was like, that's not what you sign up for when you go into it. The money, yeah, sure, who's gonna say no to the extra money? But the strings that come attached to it, you essentially have a boss. And you get into content creation because in some ways you don't want a boss, you're your own person.
For you, like now that you've been, around Ali and other big creators, do you feel like you have what it takes to get on that level?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of learning and change that happens along the way. And at each level, you have to transform and change in some way, shape or form. I'd feel really proud if younger Saf saw me now, but like, oh my God, you're creating videos and doing on the internet. It's like absolutely sick. This is the best thing ever.
Yes!
I was like, geez, man, look at that.
Amazing. That's, I feel like we've squeezed you. We've squeezed you.
This has been great.
Thank you for your time.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you for having me. Thank you for bringing me here.
Of course, man. You did super well for your first pod.
Yeah, this went better than I was expecting in my head.